Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ed and I just finished my first draft. After a week of rest in which I felt really itchy to start writing again, but I knew I shouldn't because I wanted to give myself a little break. Um because I'd spent pretty much a whole year without writing anything, and then I jumped head on to writing 40k words to finishing my first draft. So that was nuts. And yeah, I knew I needed to take a break before continue to write. But yeah, a week has gone by. I'm ready to start writing again. And I've decided that I'm actually going to jumpstart on my second book on this series. So I wrote the first draft for the first book, and I'm planning on taking advantage of Preptober and planning the second book on the series because I'm writing a fantasy series. Uh, and the reason why I want to jump to the second book is I'm not entirely sure if I'm ready for a revision yet. I don't think I have the mental capacity, or, that I'm not in a healthy enough state of mind to revise my story. I feel like I would be too critic of myself. And the second reason is because I'm planning a series and I haven't picked this up in a really long time. I'm pretty sure there's a ton of things that missed me. I used to write everything, but I used to write it a bit here and there and everywhere. So a lot of my notes got lost in time. And by jumping from the first draft of the first book to the outline and later on, hopefully, to the first draft of the second book, I hope that I managed to get a couple ideas straight so that when I go back to the first book, I might have some foreshadowing ideas. Like, let's say I wrote the first book completely and then I went to the second book and I remembered that I wanted something to happen that I hadn't foreshadowed in the first book. um it wouldn't be good writing, I know that it happens. I know that writers are not gods and they're not supposed to be perfect, but I want my series to be a well-planned thing. If you have watched my previous videos, I've been working on this story for a whole decade now. So I really want this story to be perfect. Even if I can't be perfect, I want the story to be as perfect as it can be. So, getting started on the outline of the second novel. I actually thought that I already had the outline done. Um, I don't know why, but I was convinced that I had plotted the first, second book and the first few chapters of the third book. And I was super angry when I couldn't find my notebook. And then I found my notebook and I was super happy, and I opened it and I started skimming through the pages, and I was mistaken. I have not outlined the first book, the second book yet, or the third. I had only outlined the first two chapters of the second book. So I have a lot more work to do than I thought I would. Um, that's okay. Now I can start with my head clear. I can, having the first book in mind, now I can jump into this one with a more concrete idea of what's happening and what I want. Um, so that's okay. My plan right now is to, I have a couple notes of what I want to happen in second book. I actually want to write that in a bullet list, and then I'll jump into writing. I'm basically going over my plotting process from the beginning. That's what I want to do, and I really want to finish the outline, my entire plotting process. So the one-page summary, the chapter summaries, the um, the post-its, the annotations, and then the skeleton of the story. I want to have all that finished before November so that I can use November as my month for writing the second book. Um, I don't think I'll be able to write the full second book in November. I'm actually start writing it before November starts, because November is supposed to be 50K in a month, which is doable. I wrote 40K in the past month, so but my first draft won't be 50K. Uh, my first draft is, for many of you, the second or third draft is very complete. It has everything. It just needs to be polished and needs to have line edits. But other than that, it is done. So yeah, my first draft for the first book of the series was 115,000 words. So yeah, I definitely won't be able to write the full second book in November, but hopefully I'll be able to get to the second act, which will already be super great. Even if it's just to help me keep up the habit of writing. I'm gonna start plotting the second book now. I'm sorry for all the flies that are, flying in front of the camera. I'm not sure why. It's starting to feel like autumn, and the flies that should have been around during the summer decided to be around now. So it's super annoying. I hope it's not too distracting for you. But anyway, let's get started. Okay, so instead of jumping with the summary, the full summary of the story, I actually decided to do something different this time. I decided to first make a bullet list of the main plot and the subplots that are supposed to be happening during this story. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plots in total for what it's supposed to happen in this book. And I'm just writing this down because after finishing the first draft for the first book, I realized that I hadn't been including the subplots in as many chapters as I wanted to, and in as many chapters as the subplots needed to be. So I feel like having a list of everything that is supposed to happen should really help me. Let's see. Welcome to my lunchtime. Thank you so much for making me company. Um, Plotting my next novel is not being as easy as plotting the last one was. Um, I'm still working on the chapter by chapter summary. And it's taking me a lot more time than previously. And I think it's mostly because, as I've mentioned, I spent a decade trying to write the first book in a series. So I had a ton of time to think exactly what I wanted to happen. And I did think a little bit further in the future. I thought about the general ideas and events that I wanted to happen on the following books, but I never actually sat it down and thought about how the following books would go chapter by chapter or scene by scene. So it's definitely being a complicated process at the moment. And the month is almost over. Uh, so I guess I won't have time to make a general outline, and I won't have time to start the first draft for NaNoWriMo. Uh, I'm thinking I'll have to postpone it for a bit. I'm guessing that for NaNoWriMo, I'll actually be still outlining my novel, and only after that I'll be, you know, writing the first draft. Hopefully, I can finish the outline on the first 2 weeks of November and maybe start on the first draft on the last 2 weeks. But we'll have to see how it goes. I'm getting really stuck on my writing, and it's very dismotivating, you know, because I was used to knowing exactly what was going to happen and being able to go with the flow and just write. And now to have to sit down and think about things, it's proving to be an extremely hard task for me, um, for various reasons. One, you already know I have depression, which affects your brain and your thinking capacity. I still haven't gone to see the doctor to change my medication because he was on vacation. Um, Second reason being, I also have a chronic disease that also affects my brain. So that's another point to take into consideration. And finally, I'm just super tired all the time. As I've mentioned, I moved in with my boyfriend. We're staying at his parents' house for a while until we get a house of our own. And my boyfriend works the night shift, meaning he gets home by 6 a.m. And he goes to the bedroom. And basically, I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm unable to fall asleep, or even if I do fall asleep, my sleep is not of good quality. So I definitely need to sleep. I've been taking a lot of naps midday during my lunch break, which I know I shouldn't, but I've been doing that. And yeah, I guess that's it for an update. I'm actually almost done with the chapter summary. After that, I'll need to move into some world building. I wanted to do that for Preptober because even though I already wrote the first draft of the first book, I didn't actually finish a complete world building Bible. And I definitely should do that, especially now that I'm working on following books of the series. That's a very important resource to have. So I'll definitely record my progress as well. I want to share my progress with you so that you can, take inspiration for it for your own Preptober. And hopefully I can get everything done before November starts. I really should stop procrastinating. This is definitely going to be a struggle, but hopefully I'll manage.
Hello guys, so an update on my writing and on the work I mentioned early, the phone call job. Um, First things first, writing. I finished the chapter summary. Really happy for myself. Um, this is what I can do when I set my mind to it, when I tell myself, you have a deadline. I sit down and I do the work. Why can't I have this every single day? This is one of the reasons I went to start a YouTube channel, so I could have the motivation and the pressure to write and do stuff. But lately, not even YouTube has been helping. But yeah, I'm planning on starting the more in-depth outline tomorrow. Uh, Super excited. I hope I do have the time. I also wanted to write during the weekend, but I'm not entirely sure if I'll be able to because it's my boyfriend's birthday tomorrow. But he'll be working, so we'll probably celebrate his birthday on Saturday. So I don't know if I'll have much time for writing, but there's always next week. I'm really looking forward to the day where I can fully dedicate myself to my writing, just so I don't have to deal with this bunch of idiots. Yeah, and all I can say is that if that lady is truly a college teacher, I'm extremely sorry for her students because they must be going through hell right now.
I finished outlining the chapters for my second novel. It was harder than I was expecting. I thought that after finishing a first draft of a novel, uh, outlining a different book would be super easy. But I forgot, because again, I hadn't written in such a long time, I had forgotten that my favorite part of writing is the first draft. I love knowing what's going to happen next. Um, and I don't really like going in without knowing exactly what's going to happen. So outlining is one of my least favorite parts of writing, which is fine. Um, it's fine. Each and every of us have different things that we love or hate about writing. So it's the way it is. It's we just gotta deal with it. Um, so thank you so much for watching. Uh, I'm super excited to starting the more in-depth outline of the book. Um, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.